There is a moment, a specific moment. You know exactly when it happened to you. Maybe it was a phone call. Maybe it was a diagnosis. Maybe it was someone walking out of a door and never coming back. Maybe it was a bank account hitting zero, or a dream you worked 10 years for collapsing in front of your eyes. There is a moment when life doesn't just disappoint you, it breaks you. And if you are watching this right now, there is a good chance you know that moment. You have lived it. Maybe you are living it today. So let me say this clearly before anything else, because you need to hear it before you hear anything I say next. You are not weak because you broke. You are not behind because you fell. You are not finished because something in your life just ended. Breaking is not the opposite of strength. Breaking is what happens right before strength is built. Nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that the cracks in you are not proof that you are damaged. They are proof that pressure existed. And pressure only exists where there was something worth pressing on. Before we go any further, if these words are reaching you the way they are meant to, do one small thing for me right now. Hit subscribe, and if this is helping you even a little, tap that like button. Not for me, for the next person scrolling through their darkest night who needs this exact video to show up on their screen the way it just showed up on yours. You liking this could be the reason someone else finds their way back. Stay with me for the next 15 minutes. Not because I'm going to give you empty hype. Not because I'm going to tell you to just smile and think positive and everything will magically work out. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm here to tell you the truth, the uncomfortable truth, the truth that actually changes lives instead of just making you feel good for 5 minutes before you close this video and go right back to drowning. Here's the truth. Life breaking you was never the end of your story. It was the editing room. It was the place where the chapters you didn't need got cut and the chapters you were too afraid to write got forced onto the page. Every person you admire, every person whose name you know, every person who built something that mattered was at some point in a room exactly like the one you are in right now, alone, confused, wondering if they had what it takes, wondering if the version of life they imagined was simply not meant for them. Think about that for a second. The people who inspire you were not born inspiring. They were broken first. Some of them lost everything before they built anything. Some of them were told no so many times that saying no to them became a joke. Some of them sat in cars in parking lots crying because they didn't know how they were going to pay rent. And a few years later, they were standing on stages telling rooms full of people that everything is possible. The gap between those two moments was not luck. It was not magic. It was a decision they made in the dark, when nobody was clapping for them, when nobody even knew they were trying. That decision is this: I will not let this be the last chapter. I want you to really hear that. I will not let this be the last chapter. Because right now, in your pain, your mind is doing something dangerous. It is taking one terrible chapter and convincing you it is the whole book. It is taking one season and convincing you it is your entire life. The breakup feels like proof you are unlovable. The failed business feels like proof you are not capable. The diagnosis feels like proof your story is over. But pain lies. Pain is the worst narrator you could ever trust with your story, because pain only knows how to feel the present moment. It does not know how to see the future you are capable of building. So here is the first thing I need you to understand if you want to come back from this. The breaking is not your identity. It is an event. It happened to you. It did not become you. There is a difference between saying my life broke and saying I am broken. One is a sentence about something that occurred. The other is a sentence about who you are. You get to choose which sentence you repeat to yourself, because whichever one you repeat enough times becomes true, not because it was always true, but because repetition is how the mind builds belief, and belief is how you build the rest of your life. Let's talk about why this moment, this exact painful moment, might actually be the most important moment of your life. Not because pain is good. Pain is not good. Nobody is asking you to be grateful for suffering. But here is what almost nobody tells you about rock bottom. Rock bottom is solid ground. For the first time in a long time, there is nowhere left to fall. Every illusion you were holding on to, every comfortable lie you told yourself about how things were fine, about how you could keep avoiding the truth, about how someday you would deal with it, all of that is gone now. What is left is real. What is left is you, stripped of every excuse, standing in front of the truth of your life. And that is terrifying. But it is also the first honest moment you have had in years. Because you cannot build a real life on top of illusions. You can only build a real life on top of truth. And the breaking, as brutal as it is, gave you the truth. It showed you who actually stayed. It showed you what you actually valued. It showed you what you were tolerating that you should have left years ago. It showed you exactly how strong you are, because you are still breathing, you are still here, you are still watching this video, looking for a reason to keep going. And that itself is proof that something inside you refuses to quit, even when everything else has. I need you to think about every single thing you have already survived in your life up until this point. Every heartbreak before this one. Every failure before this one. Every night you thought you would never make it through, and somehow morning came anyway. And somehow you got up anyway. And somehow you kept moving, even when moving felt impossible. You have a 100% survival rate on your worst days. Every single one. You have never once lost a battle with a hard day, because you are still here to fight this one. That is not a coincidence. That is evidence. That is proof that whatever you are made of, it does not break completely. It bends. And bending is not failure. Bending is exactly how strength is supposed to work. Now let's talk about the part nobody wants to hear, because motivation without truth is just noise. Feeling inspired for 15 minutes will not change your life. What changes your life is what you do in the next 15 hours, the next 15 days, the next 15 weeks after this video ends. Inspiration opens a door. It does not walk through it for you. You have to walk through it yourself. On the days you don't feel like it, on the days the tears come back, on the days you wonder if any of this matters. That is the real test. Not whether you feel motivated right now, but whether you choose to act when the motivation fades and all that is left is decision. So let's build something real together right now. Not a fantasy, a foundation. The first thing you have to do is stop waiting to feel ready. You will never feel ready. Nobody who ever rebuilt their life after it broke felt ready. They were terrified, uncertain, shaking, and they moved anyway. Readiness is not a feeling you wait for. It is a state you create through action. You become ready by doing the thing, not before doing the thing. So whatever the next right step is, the phone call you have been avoiding, the application you have been too afraid to send, the conversation you have been postponing, the mirror you have been avoiding looking into honestly, that is where your rebuilding begins. Not somewhere grand, somewhere small and specific and right in front of you. The second thing you have to do is grieve without setting up camp there. There is a difference between grieving and living in grief permanently. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to feel the full weight of what you lost. Suppressing it does not make you strong. It just delays the pain to a later date with interest. But grief is a visitor, not a tenant. Feel it fully, let it move through you, and then make the decision again and again, if you have to, that you will not let this visitor unpack its furniture and live in your house forever. You can honor what hurt you without letting it run the rest of your life. The third thing, and this is the one most people skip, is you have to forgive yourself for what you didn't know before. You are judging your past decisions with knowledge you did not have at the time. You stayed too long in that situation because you didn't yet know what you know now. You trusted the wrong person because you didn't yet know what you know now. You made that mistake because you were operating with the information and the wounds you had at that exact point in your life, not the wisdom you have today. Stop punishing the version of you from a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago for not having the eyes you have right now. That version of you was doing their best with what they had. Let them rest. Let yourself move forward. Now, here is something I want you to actually picture, because the mind responds to pictures more than it responds to words. I want you to picture yourself 1 year from today. Not vaguely, specifically. Picture waking up in a life where this breaking point became the turning point. Picture the version of you who took the pain from this exact moment and turned it into fuel instead of letting it become a tombstone. Picture how that version of you walks differently, talks differently, looks at challenges differently because they survived this. Nothing scares that version of you the same way anymore because they already proved to themselves that they can fall completely apart and still find their way back. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version of you is available to you starting today, starting with the next decision you make after this video ends. The only difference between you right now and that future version of yourself is a series of small decisions, repeated daily, that either move you toward rebuilding or keep you stuck in replaying what happened. You cannot change what broke you. You can only change what you build from the pieces. I want you to remember something about glass. When glass breaks, you can never put it back exactly how it was. But some artists take broken glass and turn it into something called stained glass. Something that, when light passes through it, becomes more beautiful than the original unbroken pane ever was. The breaking did not ruin the glass. The breaking gave it a new shape that, with the right hands and the right light, became something extraordinary. You are not unbreakable. Nobody is. But you are reshapeable. And what you become after this breaking is entirely about whose hands you put yourself in, what light you let pass through you, and what story you decide to tell about your own scars. Scars are not weakness. A scar is proof that the wound did not have the final word. Skin that has never been cut has never had to prove it could heal. You are proving it right now, simply by being here, simply by still searching for a reason to get up tomorrow. That search itself is sacred. Do not underestimate it. So here is what I want you to do the moment this video ends. Not next week, not when you feel ready, the moment it ends. I want you to do one small, real thing that moves you 1 inch toward the life you actually want. Send the text, write the first paragraph, make the appointment, apologize, ask for help, start the workout, open the bank statement you have been avoiding. Whatever it is for you, you already know what it is because it has been sitting in the back of your mind this entire time I have been talking. That thing, do that thing, because here is the final truth I want to leave you with. Life did not break you to end your story. Life broke you because the old version of your story was finished. And something inside you, some quiet, stubborn, unshakable part of you, was always meant for more than that old story could hold. The breaking was not punishment, it was preparation. You are not falling apart. You are falling into place, even if it does not feel like it yet. You have survived every single hard day you have ever lived through. This one will be no different. Get up. Take the next step, however small. Let this be the day you stopped asking why this happened to you and started asking what you are going to build because of it. Before you go, if this video gave you even one reason to keep fighting, subscribe to this channel and like this video. It costs you nothing, and it tells me to keep making these for you and for everyone else out there who is breaking silently tonight. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. You are still here. That is not an accident. That is a beginning.